Alright fellas, here we are back in Pokemon Masters for the overview of Mela and Armarouge. Armarouge, pretty sure it's Armarouge. Alright, so, this is a weird character in terms of release. I honestly think it would have done them a little bit better in terms of, like, financial gain. I don't know. I'm not going to speak like I know everything about business. To release this character, like, in an Aries spot instead of now, after the release of both Arcsuit Leon and Variety Marnie. I just think her release timing is really weird to be after these two powerhouse sync pairs, especially when they're in combination with each other. Not to say Mela's bad at, like, doing damage or just being a good sync pair, because she's still strong, but, like, I don't understand her release. And also, if anyone just wants to know, do you need this character? She's super strong. For one, I just kind of explained it. No, I mean, especially if you have any of these two. But also, like, just in general, fire types are amazing. Champion Leaf, right? She's literally run right now. If you have her, Marnie, and Arcsuit Leon, or, like, any combination of those three, you're doing really well on fire types. And even outside of that, I mean, we've got other good fire options that you might have. Like, if you've got Big Scout Blue, if you've got Cygnus Suit Red at certain investment, Cygnus Suit Hilda, wherever she is, I mean, Cygnus Suit May, even to some degree, Anniversary N, especially after his EX role is unlocked, he's going to be a very solid AoE striker, or basically striker. I mean, Mela is definitely not a character you need, but I mean, she's got good abilities. But she's really weird. We'll see why. She's Sprint and Strike. I don't even know why. I don't remember why she's Sprint to begin with. I don't actually think she does anything too noteworthy Sprint-wise, but whatever. It's okay. She's got solid stats overall. Her defenses are pretty low, and honestly, bar Super Awakening, her defenses don't really actually increase that much. Level 156 star AX, Strike EX roll, so her defenses do go up quite a bit. 235 defense, 220 special defense, 863 HP. These are pretty good defensive stats, actually, for a striker, damage-dealing oriented character. 454 special attack. Again, this is max investment, again, other than Super Awakening. So it's pretty solid, again, really solid offenses, and speed 400, that's nice, right? She's got good stats overall for a damage priority character. She obviously is going to be releasing the 15th, leaves February 2nd, that gives you 2.5 weeks to pull for her. It's about average, 2.5, 3 weeks is about what you would expect. Yeah, okay, whatever. Let's go into abilities. So she's got Armor Cannon, which is a 4-gauge, 192 minimum power move, lowering both of her defenses by 1. Okay, we'll go into this in a bit, but that's good power. Flamethrower, this is almost useless on her. This is literally for the burn, and that is it. Flamethrower does not really provide her anything that you would really want to be messing with. Flamethrower is just not good. They could have done so much more with this, but whatever. She's got her Trainer move, Visceral Torchia, which reduces sync countdown by 1, raising special attack by 4, and crit by 3. Good, self-sufficiency, sync countdown stuff, nice. She's doing that little bit of that sprint function, very nice. Combine that with her sprint characters, or any sync accelerating character, you can make it work a little bit better anyway. And her buddy move, Explosive Mystical Fire. This one is a little bit odd. 4-gauge, 2 uses, targets all enemies, 250 minimum power, activated whenever her special attack is... This isn't bad quality. I'm going to zoom in on it, just... Good lord, the bit rate. When the user's special attack is raised, of course, deactivated when it's not raised. That'll never happen. Never misses. The more the user's defenses are lowered, the greater the power of the... Well, sorry, her defense. Not her defenses, just the defense. Greater the power of the attack, lowers the target special attack by 2. The power of this move is not lowered if there are multiple targets. The more user's defense is lowered, the more reduces sync countdown, up to 3. Returns lowered stats to normal, and then raises the stats by the same amount. The same stats by the same amount. This is the weird part of her design, is obviously, for one, you have to debuff yourself in order to have multipliers, which inherently isn't terrible, because obviously most characters tend to have a way around it, which in her case, she does, right? But for one, it's slow. This is slow. For two, this, if when you use the first time, let's say you're at -6 defense because you want to maximize the power, right? You're going to get that full power. Have your defenses raised to +6. And now, in order to use this buddy move again with full power, you have to use 12 armor cannons. Or have your defenses debuffed by some other way. But either way, that's a lot. That's a lot of uses. And again, you could also mitigate this by, only using it at like -3 defense or something like that. But of course, in that same instance, you're sacrificing the amount of sync countdown you can do, and of course, most importantly, the amount of power the move outputs, even though it is going to be probably pretty strong naturally anyway, even without too many multipliers activated. Of course, we're going to have to see exactly what the multipliers look like on this, like, because there's obviously the potential for it to be like Lance, Arc Suit Lance, or Ash level buddy move, but I'm not really expecting that, especially because it's 2 uses. I'm expecting more along the lines of like Sigma Suit Gladion, if anything, and even then, maybe not. But we'll just have to see, right? Of course, this comes with its innate bad effects, so obviously needing defense debuffed is already not great. That's, you're crippled at that point. Any straight AoE attack is gonna hurt. Especially when you, of course, have your support who's intended to be buffing your defenses actively. It does not work well for her design. I'm not too big on it, but of course, you can make it work. I'm not going to say it's impossible. Anyway, for her passive skills, she's got Explosive Artistry, which applies free moves next when her attack move is successful. That's very good gauge efficiency. Awesome. That can help with versatility and team compositions, and again, not have to worry about gauge. Increases special moves next by 1 when the attack move is successful. That's helpful. Again, she's good damage stuff. Good stuff for damage here. Buffing Armor Cannon, buffing her buddy move. Very solid for extra power, as she's intended to have. Let's get fired up here. The user stats cannot be lowered when its MP from Mystical Fire is 0. This is a good effect, is that once the buddy move is actually done being used, its 2 uses are done, and you don't want to debuff your defenses anymore, your defenses can no longer be lowered, and of course they'll be raised by, however much, they were lowered when you used the buddy move, right? That's good. That's very good. It's a good safety net. It means that once her uses of the buddy move are over, she's not just crippling herself for no reason. This is a good effect to have, and again, it is good. And then hit evasiveness up 9, raising evasion by 1 when the attack is successful. Cool. Cool. Dodge or die, I guess. That's fair enough. For the most part, evasion is useful in like the battle rally and the legendary arenas. And also the damage, damage challenge. It's pretty good there too. Actually, evasion for these like more top tier game modes is pretty decent. If we ever get another fire and something high score event, I could see that evasion potentially coming in really, really clutch. I mean, evasion's pretty solid. Overall, evasion's pretty solid. I think the biggest weakness it has is in ultimate battles where most of the stages have piercing gaze, but I can find great usage of this in most legendary arenas. Very good usage of the damage challenge, because obviously, if the enemies miss you, then you're taking up a lot less time. And the high score event, where I've literally had my own experience where the entire thing was got high ranking because of dodge. Just dodge all the enemy's attacks. So it's real, it's legitimate for sure. And then she's also got her sync move here, which has its 200 power for being sprint, 240 maximum power at 5 out of 5. Of course, the sprint and strike functions on its effects here, and it's obviously activated with more special attackers raise the greater the power of the attack. She does want, obviously, to have max special attack for this. I mean, you get that just directly higher special attack from, instead of +4 you get +6. There's a boost there, and you also have your full multiplier activated. It's double the benefits. So obviously having a support do that, it's not that big of a deal. There's plenty of amazing special supports. Chase, Champion Blue, those are the 2 big ones I can think off the top of my head. Obviously crazy, right? Giovanni, the new one. But anyway, decent 1 out of 5. I don't think she's that crazy, honestly. At 1 out of 5, I don't think she's that crazy. She's got good tech, I guess, with the free moves next and evasion, but outside of that, nothing really super super crazy to point out, especially with how slow she is to debuff her defenses to actually try and maximize the power of her buddy move. That's just going to take too long in most cases. The first one's going to be fine, using 6 uses of armor cannon, not accounting for enemies debuffing your defense. That's going to be not that big of a deal, but obviously, the second time around, it's going to be quite rough because you're at +12 defense instead of 0. And again, if you have a support that's actually buffing your defenses, as most teams would like to have, you're literally working against her. So there's some big problems to kind of play around with there. Not that the buddy move, is terrible, probably without full activation. I'm sure it could be fine with like +2 or -3, -4, whatever defenses, but still, you're not playing around it too much. You're not getting your maximized power, and who's to say how much it actually has in terms of multipliers. That's my biggest issues with this unit for now. And again, debuffing your defenses I'm already not that big on, because an AoE attack will just destroy you, which is what the evasion's intended for sure. But for 1, evasion is a coin flip, even at max, literally, and 2, that doesn't save you against piercing gaze enemies. Good luck. or just name it as accuracy buffs. Anyway, Dauntless, Flameproof at 1 out of 5, that's fine. At 2 out of 5, she gets Quick Cure, Trip Up, Trained Body, and Trained Mind. Hustle Environment 9 on Flamethrower. Natural Remedy, I guess. Super Preparation and Train with NPR. Decent tiles all around. I mean, Trip Up's good for, like, multiplier activation, if anything. I guess it could be good if you're running her with, like, I don't know, Signasuit May or something who's got Cakewalk, but similarly, May can already do most of that herself. Trip Up is just debuffs for the sake of debuffs, I think. It's kind of just there. Trained Body and Trained Mind giving special defense debuffs, or not giving them, but mitigating the effects of them. This is helpful. I think, frankly, this should have just been Trained Body and Trained Mind 9, or Enlightenment 9 or something like that. That would have been better. But for one, these are useless the moment that this passive actually activates, whenever that is. And for two, this is not actually mitigating as much damage as you would want to at, like, you know, -3, 4, 5, 6 defense, right? You're still taking a lot of extra damage just because obviously your defenses are still lowered. So that's one of the effects you have to deal with. I have a fucking hair in my mouth. What the hell? Good lord. Okay. But these tiles are fine, again, because of that, but they really probably should have just been a little better. Quick Cure and Natural Remedy, I mean, just general status condition, status change, removal for the first time they're inflicted, that's nice, just decent tech for any stage that hits you with, like, a straight burn or a straight poison or something like that. Burn on Flamethrower, I guess, can deactivate some things, like Healthy Advantage or whatever other gimmicks. Like, you could probably, this is probably one great ticket to Solo and Cobalion or something like that, but for the most part, other than that, not really that crazy. Again, you know, Flamethrower is very useless outside of that burn, which even then doesn't really do too much for her, at least not at this move level. Super Preparation and Train with NPR, these kind of go hand in hand, I guess. I could see Train with NPR and Super Preparation being good for the damage challenge, and also Train with NPR and being good in general for maxing out her special attack by herself and some sync countdown. Again, it could be decent. I don't think 2 out of 5 is not crazy for her. It doesn't provide too terribly much for her abilities, but I mean, you know, it helps her out in some fronts. It's mostly just trying to find its usage in certain areas, I guess. 3 out of 5, Danger Damage Guard, Armor Cannon, Defense debuffs, Soften Up 1, Agile Entry 3, Brain Power, Endurance, Hit Burned, Special Attack and Special Defense down, and Furious Brain. Okay, her tiles are definitely better. Like, these are definitely a lot better for her. I don't like her Lek. Okay, yeah. So, Brain Power, nuking stuff, nice. She also, of course, has, you know, the sync nodes, right? Very good stuff to have, nuking. I mean, 200% total multipliers, you know, sync nodes here off of her already solid offensive stat. Good solid nuke. You know, not the best fire nuke in the game, but good enough to definitely, like, pass through and be good in, like, the damage challenge, blah, 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 whatever it is, right? You know, she's going to be solid for these rolls, all that good stuff. Cool. Good nuke. You know, that's pretty much what you're expecting of a damage dealing character for the most part. Furious Brain, multiplier, helps with Armor Cannon. Obviously, she's also got special moves next buffs. This is actually really good. Combine that with, like, running her with Weathered Warrior, Critical Strike 2 as lucky skills, and, well, her damage is going to look quite impressive. I mean, she's going to be a very good fire damage dealer. Again, that's part of her intent. Buddy Woo's going to hit harder. You know, still has that same problem, though, of, you know, defense debuffs needed and taking too long, whatever. Which is what Armor Cannon, Defense debuffs down, and Agile Entry 3 try to mitigate, but at the same time, still have their own flaws. For one, Agile Entry 3, for one, this is out of the way. Like, right, it's just all here. For two, you're obviously having to deal with just evasion buffs, which you can already do, but this is mostly trying to be here for if, like, there's, like, an early AoE attack, which I guess it could be useful then, but again, you are still dealing with that energy that you were trying to spend here, which could be going to her nuke, her power, you know, her debuffing here, which, you know, let's just be honest here already, it's already kind of painful to get to Brain Power. Like, look at the route you have to take. For the literal cheapest route, that's what you have to take to get to Brain Power, and that's still not very cheap. I guess, you know, whatever, but you want the sync node. Point being, it's a little rough to get to. So trying to go for Agile Entry 3 might not just be that much of an option. Soften Up 1, that's nice. Guaranteed crits on the sync move, that's very helpful. That's overall just damage consistency. It's very worthwhile a lot of times to trade a multiplier, not of this magnitude, for Soften Up 1. Like, if you have, like, a lower multiplier, like a 20 to 30, 40% multiplier or something, it's honestly just better to end up trading that if you can, you know, sacrifice it for Soften Up 1 in a lot of cases, because you are guaranteeing crits on your sync move. That's, again, just overall more consistent damage output than, you know, running without it when you're, you know, potentially failing sync crits, which happens a whole lot, especially when you're an AoE striker, right? Armor cannon defenses down. This is the other tile I want to mention. This is obviously good and far more effective for actually getting her buddy moves out faster. But my biggest issue is, one, again, I keep saying that, one, then two. My biggest issue with this is that this is all the way up here. I don't like it. Again, all of her stuff here, Furious Brain, her brain power, even like all of these other tiles, all down here. This up here, not great placement in my opinion. And of course, again, the effect of this to get that proc faster, so you can get this activated and that full power faster. But the moment that you use your second use of this passive is worthless, because for one, I keep saying it, you don't need defense debuffs anymore, and you can't activate them anyway. You can't do it because you've got Impervious after that. It's this whole design, they're trying to salvage it, and I'm not a big fan. Will it work? Yes, it'll work. Just really not that big of a fan of it. Then Danger Damage Guard, again, this is mitigating the damage she's going to potentially take from like AoE attacks or whatever. Like if the evasion fails and her defenses are debuffed and she takes a lot of damage, well, this is meant to mitigate that by however much it actually end up mitigating it, I guess. Sure, right, you get that damage guard that'll make the next attack either do no damage or the next sync move takes 0 damage, which let's hope you're not at debuff defenses when you're taking a sync move, right? That's one of the other issues you want to have to face around with this character, is that, well, you have to play around the enemy using a sync move and potentially hitting you at literally -3, 4, 5, whatever amount defenses. That's not good. That's not good. You better have a great safety net measure, which is why it's probably within your best interest to run her with a support, literally the one that just released the new Giovanni, right? The guy whose whole role is to actually take all of the attacks for the team, right? That's going to be her biggest saving grace. Honestly, he might just be the best support for her because of that. Though, granted, he's also just a really good support in general because of the sync move up next, special moves next, buffs, he can apply fucking whatever. Anyway. Hit burn, special attack, and special defense down 9. This gives more utility to Flamethrower. I can see great usage of this in order to, like, deactivate Fluid Fortification in some stages, at least the ones that can be burned. And also, again, if you can, afford to pick it up, especially if you're running her with a character that can burn, like, whoever that may be. I don't even, remember. I'm pretty sure Arcsuit Leon can burn, or, he wants to. Yeah, obviously he can burn. He's got Inferno. What am I thinking? Yeah, he burns with Inferno. Like, if you're running him with her, or her with him, one of the two, you can obviously make good usage of this passive, and you probably would want to anyway because it's super close to Furious Brain, which you, again, probably want to pick up naturally, right? Just probably try to avoid Flamethrower Hostile Environment. I can see good usage of it, again, in the Legendary Gauntlets, but outside of that, I'm just not a big fan. That's probably the biggest issue I have with this character, is I'm just not at all a fan of her energy placement, or her grid tile placement. Like, if you want this to have faster activation of the buddy move, you have to sacrifice a sync tile and be at 5 out of 5 with plus 10 energy invested. It's already a lot. Or, sacrifice a sync node. That can be rough. Or, of course, again, we can sacrifice that debuffing. I'm just not the biggest fan of how her grid placement's set up. It's just not my style, especially because you can't pick up Trained Mind here because that, again, kind of screws around with some things. I don't like it. I mean, this is good 3 out of 5, though. I mean, it helps out with her nuke, her damage, all that stuff that you want to be helped out with. It's just, bleh. You already have to play around with her already big quirks, and that comes with a lot of effects, right? I hope you all have Giovanni, because that's going to be one of our biggest saves. 4 out of 5, she gets first sync move, special boost 3, and also sync move, user defenses down. This is a good way to get your defenses debuffed fast and effectively, but again, I really don't like its placement in the grid. This is just my opinion, to be fair. Don't like its placement in the grid, and also this is useless after, that second use of the buddy move. Which may be fine if the stage is, dead or whatever, but I don't know. I'm just not big on picking up things that end up becoming useless later on in the fight. Granted, I guess you could say it is useless to pick up, I don't know, Trainer Move NPR, which is good for early on, and then, you don't need it after that, but I just think that's different. I just don't like it. I just don't. And then again, first sync move, special boost. The kind of big point of these two tiles is to work in conjunction with each other, where you're going to hope that her defenses are debuffed enough to where this is at max or near max power, and while you're getting it with plus 3 special moves next, which is pretty good. That's obviously going to be hitting really hard, so that could be good, obviously, if you chain it well. But again, you're sacrificing energy which could be going to other things, and you've kind of got to make a call there. You can't pick up all these tiles at once, right? You've got to really just sacrifice a lot of stuff, not to mention the sync nodes. And at 5 out of 5, she gets Piercing Gaze, as well as Buddy Move MP0 and non-Buddy Move hit. Love that tile name. Special Boost 9. Decreases her special moves next by 1 when she uses her attack move that isn't her Buddy Move, while the Buddy Move's MP is at 0. It's basically just meant to act as another one of these passives, this one, but just for armor cannon, which is fine. You know, that's good, consistent damage, but I think the worst part about this is that it only procs after the Buddy Move's at 0 MP, so, you know, you're going to be getting good power up after that, but how long in the fight is it going to be when you don't have any more uses of your Buddy Move? I think that's something to just consider thinking about, right? And Piercing Gaze, you know, your moves never miss. If they miss evasion buffs, that can help out. You know, that's cool. Great. I'm not going to try and underestimate that ability, but I don't have much else to go over. It's very self-explanatory. If your enemy's got evasion and you don't want to worry about it, right here. But again, same problem with all of these potentially. You know, you have to deal with energy costs, which though in this case, I actually do end up liking this a little bit more just because you can select it like this and it can kind of work in your favor a little bit. It's not too bad, honestly. Yeah. Let's just make a grid like that. That'd be funny. Oh, I guess you could pick up like that too. Yeah, here's your grid. It's not the most effective grid. Well, it's pretty close. Anyway, doesn't matter. Yeah, okay. Again, my biggest issue with this character is just how it plays. Again, I'm not really ever too opposed to like quirky strategies or gimmicks or whatever, but I'm really not a big fan of the idea of, despite the fact that we just got a character that can take all attacks, of this character which really desperately does not want to get hit by an AoE attack, especially in a game where a lot of the hardest fights have Piercing Gaze, accuracy buffs, or something of the like. That's one of my biggest issues, and again, doesn't matter if she dodges or not, if the enemy uses a sync move. And not only do you have to worry about like her defensive capability, you have to worry about your team's defensive capability, because if you bring a support that's not buffing defenses, well, that's just overall less team bulk you have to deal with, or you have, you know, on your side in order to actually take attacks very well and provide sustainability. And also, if you do decide to bring that, you know, those defensive buffing supports, which is most of them, like Champion Blue, let's say, for example, who buffs defenses every turn, well, you're directly playing against her because then she can't activate her multipliers, and I just don't like that. She does have a lot of tools to try and play around that. With this tile and this tile, you know, they try and play around it a lot. They try and help out with those issues, but really, it's just super quirky. You're going to have to really use your brain when trying to use this character, which is fine. Just, man, you can skip a whole lot of the headache if you just end up wanting to use, you know, a lot of the more recent powerful fire types, and I'm sure we'll get another good fire type in the future, so or at least rerunning in the future, so I wouldn't worry too much about her. That's why I just don't think she's that valuable of a character, but still good. She's still strong. She's gonna hit really hard. Like, I don't want to underestimate her power at all. It's just I'm more underestimating how you get to that power in some sense, even though armor cannon itself is also going to be quite strong of just a single target damage dealing move. Anyway, I want to look at her Super Awakening stuff. Obviously, up to 9 out of 10, she gains stat buffs. 300 power up to on Armor Cannon. That's really good. Up to 400 base power Buddy Moves with extra multipliers. That's even better. Like, this is going to be really strong shit, like, for sure. Her stats go up. Like, her defenses are up more. Her special... Not that you really... It's going to matter when you're taking AoE attacks. Those debuff defenses, good lord. You know, the special attacks higher, all that good stuff. Sync moves higher in power. Great. You know, all this stuff's nice. Is it worth the Super Awakening candy of 4 of them? I ain't gonna say so, but it's there. 10 out of 10, let's look at her. Debut Paldea Circle Special, first sync move, Paldea Circle Special, and Circle HP Recovery. I actually want to add that to the list too. They locked behind her only form of healing to 10 out of 10 off of a circle that only she can set. Bruh, what was they thinking? Okay. For one, not gonna finish that thought. Not too big on the debut circle, but in this case, the circle's not that bad because it's also applying the damage reduction, right? I mean, that's helpful for the beginning of the fight if you're taking some special attacks. You know, that's solid. Sync move's good. You know, you're using your sync move, and then boom, right after that, at least in this case, if you do pick up like tiles like this first sync move special boost or whatever, and the defense is down on it, you can then chain that into a circle boosted buddy move with those debuff defenses, right? And that special moves next, which can hit really hard. That can be really strong for sure. You can definitely get some high power out of that, especially on top of all the Super Awakening buffs that she's getting other than this. And of course, for the next few turns, you can get some pretty strong armor cannons or whatever out, especially with your teammates. All their potential attacks. Like if you're running her Arc Suit Leon, all of his Infernos or his buddy move or his max move, whatever, it's going to do a bunch more damage. That's nice. Problem, obviously no extension, so it's not going to last that long, and obviously there's no more special circle setters for Paldea. We only have Nimona for the physical circle, and Eri, I think it's Eri, yeah, it's Eri, for the defensive circle. Mela is the only character that sets a special circle. We have no one that can do it on demand, so, you're not making, well, you're making good usage of this, of course, but you're not getting extended use of it, right? And then, of course, having that locked to her HP recovery is locked to this circle. I mean, I guess it's cool, right? For one, this means she's taking damage. I keep saying for one. Stop! Get better vocabulary. I'm gonna cry. Whatever. This means she's taking damage. That's not great, right? Don't like her taking damage already because she's getting her defenses debuffed. But if she does, I mean, she's able to recover HP. It's good. Cool. It's just a little bit of healing, though, again, considering she only sets it on entry and on her own first sing move. Yeah, so overall decent passives, but nothing that's really going to change her play too much. Not going to make her that terribly much stronger, but you'll probably see some sort of difference in it in like Legendary Gauntlet, mostly because of the stats. Frankly, that small minor healing, and fucking where else? I don't even know where else would be helpful. You can probably get decent usage out of it in general, but for the most part, I wouldn't worry about it. Definitely not really worth the 10 out of 10. So. That's the character. Is she good? Yes. Is she flawed? Yes. Is she gimmicky? Hell yes. But overall, again, not bad. Definitely get good power out of her, but you've really got to think of some good teams to use around her that can play around her gimmicks and not actually be a detriment to what she's trying to do. Though, again, if you are wanting her to not play around these defensive debuffs or whatever, maybe you could just use her buddy move twice and have it over with, not worry about the effects, get that impervious up here, and also potentially have these like special moves next here, just like straight out the rip, if you just don't even care about the potential power the buddy move could have and not really worry about playing around it. That's a strategy too. I'm not gonna say it's the best one, but it's there. Anyway, whatever. That's my thoughts about Mela. I'm not gonna really go too much more into it. I'm good. I'll see you later. Hope you all enjoyed. Good luck on your summons for her. Good luck on your skipping. And yeah, let's Datamine win, please. Not even halfway through the month yet, and I'm already over this. I'll see you later. Hope you all enjoyed. Peace.